Week 17 of the NFL on CBS. We're in Indianapolis for the Titans and Colts. And yes, Indianapolis still alive. But as we told you, they need 9 different things to happen today to make the playoffs. Tennessee won the toss. They have deferred, so Ryan Suckup will kick it away. And back deep for the Colts, the rookie Quan Bray out of Auburn. The Colts have defeated the Titans 8 straight games, trying to keep it going today. As we wish you Happy New Year from Indianapolis. That one goes through the end zone, and the Colts will start at the 20, and out comes a man who was signed on Tuesday, Josh Freeman, a former #1 pick, 17th overall with the Buccaneers in 2009, has been out of the league since midway through the 2013 season, getting a big shot today.
But I think you consider all the options that were available to Chuck Pagano, Ryan Griggs in this organization. I think Josh Freeman is the best possible choice out there. He gives them a chance to win today.
Yeah, because he's a great athlete, first and foremost. He's got a big arm and all the measurables. He's a big athlete.
Looking to throw on first down, going deep down the sideline, incomplete. T.Y. Hilton, the intended receiver. So much for a handoff on first down. As we take a look at the starting lineups for the Colts, and Lance Lewis gets the start at right guard for the injured Hugh Thornton. He went on injured reserve this week. Backs and receivers, Andre Johnson, his first year with the Colts, just 37 catches.
Yeah, he's kind of been a forgotten man in this offense with all the quarterback shuffling. He never really got himself established, but in my opinion, one of the truly great receivers of our time.
Quick pass on second down to Dorsett, trying to get to the outside. Dorsett shoved out by Avery Williamson at the 26-yard line. It will be third down as we take a look at the Tennessee defense. Terrell Casey started every game. He's got 7 sacks on the season. Those 7 sacks tied for the team lead with Brian Arakpo, who's had a nice first season in Nashville. And in the secondary, Michael Griffin begins the day just 3 tackles short of 100 for the season.
He is the elder statesman back there, and he knows it. And when he looks around, he's got a lot of young players on this defense, but he's the guy that holds them together.
Third down and 4, quick pass to Fleener, and Fleener is tackled very close to the first down marker. It was Damian Stafford on the tackle. And with that spot, they're going to give the Colts a first down.
You know, that's a good sign for this offense. And one of the reasons I really believe that Josh Freeman is the best fit for this is because he's one of the few guys in the NFL, or that's had any NFL experience, that's been through a situation similar to this. Last year, getting pulled in with the Vikings late in the season in a very similar situation. He came out and did not do very well, but at least now he kind of knows what to expect. He looks very comfortable to this point.
First run today for the Colts. It's Frank Gore up the middle across the 35 and up to the 37-yard line. Frank Gore beginning the day 109 yards away from 1,000 for the season.
And this is kind of what you expect from the Colts today. They came out throwing the football in the first few downs, but Frank Gore knows he's going to be the bell cow of this offense. You can only expect so much out of Josh Freeman. He's not going to know the personnel on the field. He's just going to call a play, try and get it out clearly, get them lined up, and then know where to hand the football off to, and that guy is the guy.
Direct snap to Frank Gore, and Gore has the first down. Chuck Pagano told us, be alert. We could do a lot of different things today. We want to be creative. You saw the Wildcat there with Gore.
That's Josh Freeman right there at the top of your screen. We asked Chuck Pagano specifically if we could expect to see something such as the Wildcat. He just kind of smiled and said, if you can keep a secret, you're going to see pretty much everything out here on the field on Sunday.
Well, that was really not divulging a secret. I mean, what else are they going to do? They got a quarterback camp.
They line up the same way, but now Freeman will come under center. Gore is the running back. Freeman looking to throw. Great protection by the offensive line, but Freeman with nobody open just throws this one away.
Well, this is a problem that's going to be Freeman drops back, and what the Colts do is they're keeping some extra people in to protect. They want to make sure at least he has a field to look at, but they've got to hope that their guys on the outside can win in one-on-one. But in this case, both players are double teamed. They got 7 guys rushing. there's no place to throw the football. It's a smart play to get rid of it.
And on the other side of the coin here, we talked to Mike Mularkey and several people with the Tennessee Titans. They said they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Josh Freeman in this offense. They're going to bring blitzes from every possible angle. Here comes one right now.
They give it to Gore up the middle to the 45-yard line. Actually, it's Boom Herron on the carry, his first carry of the day. Michael Griffin makes the tackle.
You know, one thing that's surprising to me, every offensive play, the Colts are running in different personnel packages, and I think they're hoping to get a matchup in some of these combinations where the Titans just won't match up because of their desire to get after Josh Freeman. They're going to leave some certain personnel packages defensively on, and the Colts are feeling them out to see if they can find a formation that will give them a matchup they can win.
3rd down and 7 for the Colts. 8th play of the drive. Here comes the pressure. Freeman completes it to Dorsett for a first down. Philip Dorsett into Tennessee territory after a gain of 9.
You're going to get pressure from this side. You see right there coming up inside was Avery Williamson, the linebacker. They're trying to find ways to see if they can rattle Josh Freeman from a protection standpoint, but also from a coverage standpoint. See if they can get some people coming free on him, get the hits on the big quarterback, get his head kind of spinning a little bit. Right now, though, it looks like Josh Freeman, he knows exactly where he's going with the football.
Here we go. 180.
They hand it off to Dorsett with some room to run. Philip Dorsett out of bounds, but he picks up a first down. His 3rd carry of the season.
Well, I'm looking at my partner here, Steve Berlon, and you know this, they're trying now, they try this jet sweep just to get to the edge as quickly as they can. They get a block, but pretty soon your menu of plays is going to get pretty short, and they're going to have to start doing these plays for the 2nd time around, and it's just like everything. You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. If they run out of plays that are new and different, it's going to go bad for them.
180.
Colts have made a change on the line. Joe Wright's playing right guard and Denzel Good playing right tackle here on this drive, and minimal gain on first down for Indianapolis.
And that was a true read option right there. Josh Freeman athletic enough to be able to keep that football if he wants to. That's just another wrinkle they're putting in there to show the Tennessee Titans they've got to defend every possible type of offensive philosophy in this football game, and that's what's kind of working in their favor right now, keeping Tennessee off balance, not allowing them to get into their comfort zone and bring blitzes.
11th play of the drive, a creative first drive for offensive coordinator Rob Chudzinski. Freeman, quick pass, caught by Fleener at the 30, and Fleener is shoved out of bounds by Zach Brown. It'll be 3rd down for the Colts.
Excuse me, Andrew. You know, we've talked a lot about in our meetings this weekend about the atmosphere of both these clubs. You see much pressure coming on, and once again, it almost has the feel of a preseason game for the defense because they can't anticipate any tendencies or any film study that they've done will not prepare them as well as it would on a normal week. So they really have to be disciplined in their pursuit and in their responsibilities and concentrate on their keys. So in that respect, it's like it's before the season has even started.
And Michael Griffin told us he watched preseason film of the Dolphins to get a look on Josh Freeman. On 3rd down, pressure coming, and that pass is incomplete. Dangerously floated up there and could have been intercepted. And now Chuck Pagano will send out Adam Vinatieri for a field goal attempt.
Well, a successful first drive for the Colts, but right there again, we saw anytime they went to a more conventional set, the Titans were going to bring pressure. Right there, that was Zach Brown coming clean, the first real hit on Josh Freeman. Just making a statement to the Colts that, you know what, you may want to sit back there and try and fool us, but we're going to keep bringing the heat. You're going to have to deal with it sooner or later.
Last week, Vinatieri became the 3rd kicker to make 500 field goals in a career. This one from 49 yards, and it's right down the middle. The only 3 members of the 500 club, Morton Anderson, Gary Anderson, and Adam Vinatieri. A 12-play drive. The Colts take a 3-0 lead. Adam Vinatieri with his 23rd consecutive made field goal has given the Colts a 3-0 lead on the Titans. 8:57 to go in the first quarter. Pat McAfee leads the NFL in touchback percentage, 89%. Kicking this one deep to Trey McBride. And it's another touchback for McAfee. So Zach Mettenberger and the Titans will have their first drive at the 20 when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Ram Trucks, guts, glory, Ram. And by New York Life, here to help you keep good going.
A look at downtown Indianapolis. Aerial coverage of today's game provided by MetLife. Zach Mettenberger making his 4th start of the season for the Tennessee Titans, his 10th start in his career. He's 0-9 as a starter. We asked him yesterday, have you gotten a lot of questions about that? He said, yes, it's been a big pain in the you-know-what. And he's trying to get that monkey off his back.
I cannot tell you how frustrated. I could just sense the frustration looking at him. He knew it was coming. He had to deal with it and answer the question. But, man, that kid wants a win to get that thing out of the way, and he can just start moving forward.
David Cobb starts at running back today for Tennessee. 1st and 10 from the 20. Pressure coming from Lowry. Lowry has Mettenberger in his grasp, and Mettenberger gets rid of it.
Yeah, they're going to say he was. They're going to say he was out of the pocket, but that ball did not reach the line of scrimmage. And this may be a very late flag, and they're not going to call it. But you see there, as he's getting dragged down, he tries to throw that football. It doesn't reach the 20-yard line, but if there was a receiver in the area, it's okay.
Intentional grounding. Offense number 7.
And they called it.
Quarterback was outside the pocket, but the ball did not get back to the line of scrimmage. It's a loss of down foul, brings up 2nd down. The ball we placed at the spot of the pass, which is the 5-yard line.
Well, Dwight Lowry just came with no one touching him, and he got right to Mettenberger. And that is his 2nd sack of the season.
They called that so late they didn't even throw a flag.
I always have a problem with that. I mean, he's trying to get the ball back to the line of scrimmage. Mike Carey told us the referee uses his own discretion as to whether or not he believes he gave it a legitimate effort.
They give it to Cobb now on 2nd and long, and he gets to the 12-yard line.
Yeah, you quarterbacks, he's making an effort to get to the line of scrimmage, but he's not making an effort to complete the pass. That's the penalty.
The rule's in place for a reason. He's out of the pocket. He can get rid of the football when he's out of the pocket. He's trying to get it up to the line of scrimmage. I mean, it's a legitimate attempt.
Oh, you quarterbacks are all
Come
alike.
on.
He's not trying to complete that pass. You got to give the defense something.
The rule doesn't say you have to complete a pass.
It says you got to get to the line of scrimmage. He couldn't because he was getting sacked. You guys
have been together for 17 weeks too long. 3rd down and 18. Robert Mathis coming. That pass is complete to Delaney Walker. He gets to the 25. In the process, goes over 1,000 yards for the season. The 1st in Tennessee franchise history, but short of a 1st down, and Tennessee will punt.
All caused really by that intentional grounding on 1st down. I mean, they lost so much yardage they couldn't get it back in the remaining 2 downs because of the loss of down penalty.
It's a questionable intentional grounding.
Well, you know, the thing about it is they don't like to call it. I will give you that because it's a tough penalty.
Well, you're right, it is. And it did set him back, and the Colts, this has worked out exactly the way the Colts would like it to work out.
Brent Kern to punt. Quan Bray drifting to his left and returnable at the 24. A flag is down, and Bray is tripped up by Trey McBride at the 26-yard line. Now we await the penalty. Today's referee is Cleet Blakeman.
Trey McBride made an absolutely outstanding play. The penalty was on the guy blocking him. He got up after being held and thrown to the ground and made that play. Tremendous effort.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 31. It's a 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. 1st down, Indianapolis.
Penalty is on Jaleel Brown. 7:22 to go, 1st quarter. Impressive start for this Colts defense. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, has a long history of honoring players who have significantly impacted both the game and their communities. Each NFL team nominates 1 player for the award, and 3 finalists will be announced later this month. This year's nominee for the Titans is Delaney Walker. For the Colts, it's the injured Dwayne Allen. You can see who will win the award at the NFL Honors from San Francisco on CBS coming up February 6th. So the Colts will start this drive deep in their own end on 1st and 10. Freeman to Jack Doyle. And the Indianapolis native makes a nifty catch. Wesley Woodyard on the stop.
Well, both the first play of the game and that play, the first play of this drive, I think are statement plays from Rob Chudzinski, the offensive coordinator, saying, hey, we may be limited in what we can do, but we've got a quarterback that can throw the football, and we're going to give him chances to make plays. Right there, a good decision coming down and picking up a few yards to give himself a more desirable situation.
Go!
Doyle picks up 3 at 2nd and 7. It's Gore. And not much there. Tennessee snuffs that one out.
Both these teams are in the same boat. They're playing with backup quarterbacks, which means the defenses kind of have that same philosophy. They're going to bring the house and try and get the quarterback to win the game for their team. And that's, you know, it spells a lot, maybe a 6-3 ball game, as we saw there in the first series. Both these clubs, you know, struggling to get into the end zone. But, you know, that if you've got a quarterback that can spin it, the question is, can he get it out of his hand to the open guy? And that's the question really for both of these quarterbacks. Josh Freeman getting rid of it quick. Look for the DBs to start squatting and jumping those routes short.
Colts 2 for 3 on 3rd downs on their opening drive. This is 3rd and 5. Bass coming with pressure. Freeman completes it to Dorsett, but a nice tackle by Zach Brown, short of a 1st down, and out comes Pat McAfee to punt.
And get used to seeing it, folks. You're going to see, again, more pressure. You see Avery Williamson coming up inside, several others as well. That's what Josh Freeman's going to be dealing with all day, but I think it's very important that the Colts got on the board with 3 points in their first drive, because this Titans team has not scored more than 7 points with Zach Mettenberger the last 4 weeks. Getting ahead of them and putting them in trail mode, very important for the Colts.
McAfee first in the NFL, averaging 48 yards per punt. Harry Douglas calls for a fair catch. Now lets it bounce, takes a big Tennessee hop, and is down at the 45-yard line. A punt of just 34 yards for Pat McAfee, and the Titans will have good field position when we come back. 3-0 Colts in front.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Papa John's, official pizza sponsor of the NFL, and by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Back in Indianapolis, 5:18 to go first quarter, and the Colts lead 3-0. Cobb on 1st down, and Cobb picks up 3 yards. Well, here's a look at the list of things that has to happen today, at least a partial list for the 1 o'clock games. You see on the red on the bottom all the things that Indianapolis needs for the 1 o'clock games. There's 2 games at 4 o'clock that need to go their way, and Houston just kicked the field goal. If Houston beats Jacksonville, or if any of the results on this board, if one of them doesn't go Indianapolis's way, then the Colts are eliminated and the Texans are AFC South champs. 2nd and 6. Mettenberger's pass incomplete, intended for Dorial Green Beckham. As we take a look at the starting offensive line for the Titans, Byron Bell moves from right tackle to left tackle because Taylor Lewan is out with a concussion, and Jamon Meredith starts at right tackle today. And we've seen him already. David Cobb figures to get the most of the carries today for the Titans.
He's starting to expand this role, and this is one of the reasons it feels like a little bit of a preseason game. You got a lot of running backs in this game that are going to have their roles expanded and contracted, seeing how they can perform under pressure.
3rd down and 6. Mettenberger is sacked. The Titans allow their 51st sack of the season. That's the 2nd most in the NFL.
Well, you talk about the shuffling that the Tennessee Titans have had to do with their offensive line due to injury. Taylor Lewan out. You have to switch Byron Bell to the left side, put Jamon Meredith on the right side. You got Joe Looney at center. You got all kinds of things going on, and Indianapolis says, well, let's just see if you can handle a mass chaos coming at you from all different angles. Right there, Zach Mettenberger had no chance.
They credit the sack to T.Y. McGill. He had 2 last week, including a safety against the Dolphins, and Kern's punt is nearly blocked. Bray lets it bounce at the 20. Takes a Tennessee hot. Now Bray fields it, and he is tackled inside the 10-yard line. A 51-yard punt and no return. But this Colts defense coming out firing. A sack of Zach Mettenberger. Never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play and score, every game, every highlight right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now at cbssports.com/mobile. Colts start this drive at the 8. Their previous drive started at their own 13. On the ground with Gore on first down, and coming up to make that tackle, Avery Williamson. 3.5 to go in the first quarter.
One of the key things about this game, and it's one of the things that has plagued the Tennessee Titans, is their offense has turned the football over way too much, and their defense has not been able to get turnovers. In fact, in the last 5 games, they've allowed 15 touchdown passes and gotten 0 interceptions. So I think if and when one of these quarterbacks turns it over, I think it's going to be the key element of this game.
Gore again, and Arakpo slams him to the ground. What a season for Brian Arakpo. First year with the Titans, started every game this year. Just the 3rd time in his career he's made 16 starts in a season, and his first since 2011.
Again, that was the read option, and you're going to see Josh Freeman start to pull that ball. If Brian Arakpo is coming down and making that tackle, that should be Josh Freeman's key to pull that football, because they've got no contain then up the field on that side. So they're going to be talking about that. That'll probably be the next adjustment by the Colts.
His 12th tackle for a loss this season. Here comes the pressure. Freeman sidesteps it. It's intercepted off the deflection. Picked off by Denoris Searcy, and it's 1st and goal for Tennessee.
Well, Daniel Herron had his hands on this ball, and it went right through him. And Josh Freeman's going to get called for this interception. It's not his fault. He makes the right hit. Now, I'm not saying it would have gone for a first down, but certainly he gets rid of this football. And you see right there, I mean, you got to make that catch.
Well, and I'll tell you what else the problem was, and you know this, Steve. Herron has got to be behind his offensive lineman. He got out there too early in front of the offensive lineman. That gave Searcy a chance to come up and make that play. If he's patient, that play never happens.
I told you right at the beginning of this drive, the turnover is going to be the key spot, and it's the one thing right now that gives Tennessee at least a chance to tie it up.
Searcy's first interception of the season, 6th of his career. 1st and goal from the 5 for the Titans. Cobb lined up in the slot as a wide receiver. Mettenberger, quarterback draw. He's got it. Touchdown. The first rushing touchdown of Zach Mettenberger's career. And Tennessee responds off the turnover. They take the lead.
This reminds me of one of my claims to fame in Green Bay in 1999 to win a game. George Seifert called a quarterback draw. It was because nobody in the stadium would be expecting it. Look in here. There's absolutely nobody in the middle of the field right there to stop Zach Mettenberger. Nobody on the Colts expected him to keep that football and run. That's why the play worked. I can relate.
Oh, there's a lot of things I want to say right now. I'm going to let it go.
Throw him out there.
Nice
Throw
play.
him out there.
Good call. Takes an athlete.
Now here's Suckup for the extra point. And that kick is good. Well, Tennessee's defense had gone 5 straight games without an interception. That changes here. Searcy picks it off the hands of Herron, and Mettenberger takes it in. It's 7-3.
Well, here's what happened on that last play of the touchdown. When I tell you there's nobody accounting for Zach Mettenberger, look at all these defensive players out here and out here, and what Zach Mettenberger sees is nothing inside here. He says, let's go ahead and run the quarterback draw. It's an easy touchdown for Zach Mettenberger. A great play call by the Tennessee Titans. There's no doubt that there was no expectation of Zach Mettenberger running that football.
Ryan Suckup kicks it away to Quan Bray. And Bray is going to take this one out. Bray at the 20. Bray is tripped up at the 30. Ryan Suckup helped with that tackle. But a return of 35 yards for the rookie Quan Bray.
Yeah, Bray catches this, and it's a feel thing. When the ball lands 5 yards deep, you got a chance. It had good hang time, but the timing worked up perfectly, and that's always the key thing on a kickoff return. If you can hit it just a split second behind the block's first contact, the returner has enough vision to jump to the open space and get a good return out of it. And that's why Teams love this touchback. Coaches love the touchback rule. They can get their guy to touch it back. They don't ever have to risk the big play coming right back the other direction.
Opening drive for the Colts went 13 plays. Their last 2 drives totaled 5 plays. 1st and 10 from the 30. Quick pass and nothing doing to Dante Moncrief. There's a penalty down. B.W. Webb made the tackle. And they picked up the flag, so there's no call.
The DBs for Tennessee are starting to jump those quick routes. Cody Sensabaugh almost had a chance to intercept that quick screen.
It's Gore on 2nd down, and Gore maybe gets back to the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down and long for the Colts.
And that's exactly how we expected kind of this game to go, with the limited package that the Rob Chudzinski and Clyde Christensen, the offensive coaches for the Colts, how could they keep this defense off guard? Because they're starting to squeeze this field now and put all the pressure on Josh Freeman. So they've got to find a way to make a play down the field or come up with a new wrinkle to keep this Titans defense off guard.
Colts have failed to convert their last 3 3rd downs. Freeman over the middle, and that one is caught by Dorsett, and he's got the 1st down.
This direction, just to give himself a little bit of vision, and then you can see, I mean, the guy's got a gun. He's got a rifle and can put it in there on the guy, and those are the easy throws for a quarterback. If the guy's just sitting there looking at you, it's just pitch and catch.
And that was a big conversion for the Indianapolis Colts, just to get some rhythm going back in their offense.
Philip Dorsett, his career high in receptions for a game 2 coming into the day. He's got 4 in the 1st quarter. 20 seconds to go. Freeman pump fake. Has time, comes back the other way, wide open, Fleener, touchdown, Colts. That's Josh Freeman's first touchdown pass in 840 days. September 15th of 2013, Freeman with the touchdown to Fleener.
How important do you think coaching is in designing plays, calling them at the right time? I believe Rob Chudzinski, one of the best play callers in the league, they got exactly the coverage they wanted. Josh Freeman knew, you see him come back and pumped it to the right to try and pull all the coverage that way. He knew he had Fleener going up the seam. Brilliant design to the play and excellent execution by a quarterback who's only been here for a couple days.
Longest catch of the season for Fleener. It's his 3rd touchdown of the year, and Vinatieri knocks home the extra point. The Colts regain the lead. It's 10-7. Little skirmish here after the extra point. These 2 teams, long rivals.
There's a late flag coming in.
A late flag has come in. Colts have won 8 straight against the Titans.
You know, that one of the things we saw early on, we spoke about all the different personnel combinations, and the Colts found a matchup during all those substitutions. They came back to a formation and a play where they had a safety on Fleener, and they turned him loose deep, and it was a matchup they could win. They came back to it and got the touchdown.
After the play, unnecessary roughness. There's an unnecessary hit. Defense, number 59. That 15-yard penalty we assessed on the kickoff.
That goes against Wesley Woodyard, so they'll tack that onto the kickoff, and Woodyard is still hot. That's one of the things Mike Mularkey, when we met with him yesterday, said he was proud of in his time as interim head coach, how they've cut down on some of the mistakes that they've committed themselves, specifically penalties. They've trimmed it down in that department, but Woodyard here called for a 15-yarder. As we go back to that touchdown, Freeman to Fleener.
Well, here's Fleener right here at the 2nd man in on your screen there. What's going to happen, he's just going to push up the seam right down here, but watch the safety right here with Josh Freeman's action, the pump fake to the right. He gets all the flow going this way. There's no safety in the middle of the field. Fleener, one of the best receiving tight ends in the league. As far as getting up the field, it came up perfectly, and again, very well executed.
Yeah.
Nice throw.
That's a coaching staff knowing that safety is very vulnerable to the pump fake. I mean, he didn't wait a minute, and that's something you tell your quarterback right away.
And McAfee knocks it through. Obviously had the extra 15 yards. Not that he normally needs it, but Tennessee will start this drive at the 20 with 12 seconds to go. Josh Freeman was signed on Tuesday after working out for the Colts this past Monday. He was a first-round pick by the Buccaneers in 2009. Spent 4+ seasons as their starter. One game with the Vikings, a loss to the Giants. He played in the FXFL this season, the Fall Experimental Football League. He was with the Brooklyn Bolts. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, just waiting for a chance. And it finally came when he got the call last Sunday to come to Indianapolis for a tryout, as Cobb is tripped up on first down. And that is the end of the first quarter. Indianapolis leads 10-7. We'll return to Lucas Oil Stadium after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Thursday on CBS, start the new year with a big bang. The first new episode of 2016, Thursday at 8/7 Central, only CBS. Start of the second quarter, Colts lead 10-7. They have to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Mettenberger on the ground, and Tennessee just can't get it going with Cobb. Earl O'Kine making the tackle. The Titans have gone 22 straight games being held under 100 yards rushing. That's the second longest active streak in the NFL. Well, just 30 yards last week.
Right, the last 3 weeks they've only been averaging 37.5 yards a game. 113 yards rushing the last 3 weeks. It's hard to win a football game.
Marcus Mariota watching again from the sideline, out with a right knee sprain. Tennessee with 9 plays today for 19 yards. On third down, Delaney Walker makes the catch, but Walker is tackled at the 23-yard line by a host of Colts. A flag comes in down at the 27-yard line, and again a little extracurricular after the whistle blows.
You might expect a little chippiness in a division game, week 17, when one of the teams has a chance and the other one doesn't. Tempers will flare.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Defense, number 33. It's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down, Tennessee.
So that gives Tennessee a first down. Dwight Lowery's penalty bails out the Titans, and they move the chains.
Yeah, that's...
Looked like it was Walden, 93, not Lowery, 33. Lowery's to the right of your screen out of the play. Walden also had a roughing the passer call late last week in the win over the Dolphins. So first and 10 from the 38-yard line. It's the second first down today for the Titans. Mettenberger's pass deflected and caught. Delaney Walker with his third catch off the deflection. Walden got a hand on it. Here's a look at the scoreboard for the 1 o'clock games that Colts fans are watching closely. They need all of the things in that red tag on the bottom of your screen to go their way. Houston leading Jacksonville 3-0. You look everywhere else, though, and so far it's an encouraging start for the Colts on a day where their odds are about 3,000 to 1 to make the playoffs. Mettenberger just has to throw this one away. He was chased by Kendall Langford, the 8th-year man out of Hampton.
Well, one of the things that's happening here early in this game, or here in the midway through the first half, is that the Colts front is dominating the offensive line of the Titans. They've got guys running free on Zach Mettenberger. The sack that they got was an absolute train wreck right in his lap. They're stuffing the run, and all these offensive problems are one of the signals that lead toward big changes for this Tennessee franchise coming this offseason. They've tried to struggle through. The team's getting a good effort, but they are getting manhandled up front in this drive.
Titans without the anchor of their line. Left tackle Taylor Lewan out with a concussion. 3rd and 7. Mettenberger over the middle. It's caught again by Delaney Walker for a first down into Indianapolis territory. A gain of 17 for the tight end, Walker.
Well, what I love about this play, you got to understand, Zach Mettenberger has got to trust his offensive line. Even though they haven't been producing very well for him, they've been getting pressure on him. in order to be successful at this level, you've got to put your blinders on and trust the guys up front are going to do their job. He stood strong in that pocket under pressure and made a nice throw to convert that third down.
That was a really nice throw.
Mettenberger has 4 completions, all 4 to Delaney Walker. And a little trickery here as he hands it off to Delaney Walker. Walker still going inside the 10 and dragged down around the 5 by Jonathan Newsom.
Well, we said in the open that if the Titans are going to win this game, Delaney Walker's going to have to be a big part of it. Right now, he's the engine. He's going to come right here, right across, and he's going to get this fake throw reverse. And
almost like a Statue of Liberty kind of.
And he outruns the defender right down the sideline. What a great misdirection. Great job by the Tennessee offense to finally do that. They got such hard pursuit from the Colts. They're starting to take advantage of it.
So first and goal for the Titans. Cobb in at running back. They give it to Cobb, and Cobb gets to the 2. Tackle made by Dwight Lowery.
Well, that was a good physical run by Cobb right there behind Jamon Meredith and Chance Warmack, the right guard and right tackle. You see he just slammed this thing right up in there. When you're down in that red zone, every yard is at a premium. You get a running back that doesn't just make up his mind to pound it up in there, you're not going to make any yards. That was a good, solid 3-yard run.
That run by Walker, just the 12th carry of his career. As it's second and goal now for Tennessee. Mettenberger, fade to the corner for Green. Beckham incomplete. Trying to get the big guy in a jump ball situation, but now it's third and goal.
Yeah, that was great coverage on the outside, and that's one of the things the DBs do. They just don't let those big, tall guys get out there. Toller just keeps them from just getting to the outside, and that's good defense. Don't let them get to the corner because that's where the quarterback's going to try and throw it.
Well, if Dorial Green Beckham wants to make money in the NFL, he's got to find a way to give his quarterback a chance to put that ball up to him. 6'6".
Third and goal. Mettenberger flips it inside. It's caught by Walker. Did he get in? No, he's down at the 1. The shovel pass to Delaney Walker, and he's just short of the goal line.
Well, I like the play call. Good creativity from the Titans, but well defended by the Colts. You know, that's a play where a lot of teams will run this down in the red zone, close to the end zone, because you only need that couple of yards. But right there, the Colts converged on it very well. For sure, Mike Mularkey's going to be going for this.
90th catch of the season for Delaney Walker, just the 9th tight end in NFL history to get 90 catches in a season. And Mike Mularkey is going to go for it on fourth and goal. They're 6 for 13 on 4th downs. And they get another. David Cobb with the first touchdown of his NFL career.
Well, that was the Delaney Walker drive finished off by David Cobb. I mean, that was a very well-run drive. Mettenberger made a couple of key throws early to get him started, and then he just handed it off to Delaney Walker, threw it to Delaney Walker, and let Cobb put the finishing touches on it. Great job up front. A little misdirection cutback by Cobb, and it's a walk-in.
Delaney Walker had 74 of the 85 yards on that drive for the Tennessee Titans. Suck up for the extra point, and it's good. And Tennessee back in front with 10:25 to go first half. The Titans, thanks to a 4th down conversion, take a 13-10 lead, 14-10 lead. Delaney Walker did most of the work on that drive for Tennessee. David Cobb caps it off with a touchdown run, the first of his career. See what Walker did on that drive, and for the game, Walker with 74 of Tennessee's 85 yards of offense. Now has 90 catches on the season. He told us yesterday that would mean a lot to get to 90. Only 8 other tight ends have done it in NFL history. Colts behind. Josh Freeman will start at the 20 when we return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Acura Oh What Fun It Is to Drive event. Verizon. Better matters. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
Back in Indianapolis, people affected by severe weather and other disasters need help now. To support those impacted by disasters like the severe weather in Illinois, Missouri, Texas, and countless other crises, text Red Cross to 90999 to give $10 to American Red Cross Disaster Relief. Tennessee with a 14-10 lead on the Colts. 10:25 to go in the second quarter. Colts fans keeping an eye on a lot of other games in the NFL, and this is one not going their way as the Texans have just taken a 10-0 lead on Jacksonville. Houston wins, and then the Texans are South Division champions. 1st and 10, and it's a play action. Freeman steps up, he'll run it himself. Freeman slides shy of the 30. Fans want a flag, and they're not going to get one. When we spoke with Chuck Pagano on Friday, he still hadn't decided who was going to start, but he did say that Freeman more mobile than Ryan Lindley, who is the backup quarterback today, and you saw him right there.
I'm surprised that's not a penalty.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that's not a penalty. I think it should have been.
I don't know what is.
Yeah, it should have been a penalty. You can't hit a quarterback. He was down and slid a full yard before the contact was made. It doesn't matter how vicious it was. You can't hit him.
On 2nd and 1, Gore tackled for a loss, and now a late flag comes in, but Al Woods was able to get back there and meet Gore.
Now they're going to get a holding call against them to pour salt in the wound.
Ill use of hands to the face. Defense, number 96. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. 1st down, Indianapolis.
Al Woods made the tackle and really blew that play up. We'll see. Right there, they called it, but it's not Al Woods. It's
looked like
Jarrell Casey. And that's a good call. You can't have your hand up that high and push that guy's head back with the mask. That's an easy call.
Well, now Woods understandably upset. He's like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
We saw the film shows that other 90 number, Jarrell Casey, is the one that really did it, 99.
So a 1st down for Indianapolis. High snap, Gore up the middle. Frank Gore with a 1st down run. Close to midfield, a gain of 15 for Frank Gore.
Oh, this is just well blocked right up front. This is going to open up right up between the guard tackle gap on the far side. Gore then breaking the tackle. You've seen him do that his entire career. Big, tough, physical runner down inside. He's a handful to tackle. One of those guys that strings together 1,000-yard seasons just about every year, and he's close to it again this year.
Needed 109 coming into the day. He's got 33 here in the 1st half. They go back to Gore, trying to get around the outside, and he does. Frank Gore out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Frank Gore, the NFL's active leader in rushing yards, 15th in NFL history in that department.
Well, if he gets to 1,000 this year, he'll be the 5th running back in the history of the NFL to get to 1,000 yards in 9 different seasons. The company he's keeping there, Curtis Martin, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, and Emmitt Smith. He'd be the 5th guy to ever do that.
That's almost Mount Rushmore right there.
It's Boom Herron on 1st down to give Gore a breather, and Herron picks up a yard. Well, since 2012, the Colts have had one game with a 100-yard rusher. It was 55 games ago, including the playoffs. Vic Ballard, week 15 of 2012. So it's been a while since the Colts have had a 100-yard rusher, but certainly that's on the mind of Gore today as Jacksonville is on the board down in Houston. They kick a field goal. They trail by 7. Freeman play action, now rolling right, chased by Arakpo, comes back, and T.Y. Hilton is incomplete, out of bounds. Good adjustment by Hilton, but he was out. It's 3rd down.
I'm going to put this one on T.Y. Hilton, Andrew. I think he didn't get – the ball is thrown back inside where it will keep him in bounds, and T.Y. Hilton keeps fading to the outside. If he would have put his hands up and tried to catch that ball instead of jumping up for the ball and adjusting his body, he would have never come down out of bounds. I mean, really, he didn't have to jump for that football.
Josh Freeman, yeah, that's a bad throw. He could have caught it if he'd have been ready for it, but that's a throw that T.Y. Hilton, for his entire career, has had that guy thrown to him, and that's down low and away right on the sidelines. He didn't have to jump up and be an acrobat.
Pressure coming. Freeman steps up. Freeman will keep it at the 35. Takes a hit. He's tackled short of a first down. Michael Griffin came up from his safety position to make the stop. And now Chuck Pagano has Adam Vinatieri coming out for a field goal.
Well, as we see here, Josh Freeman trying to pick it up himself under pressure. Not quite enough. 4th and 5. But, you know, I think a receiver, the ball's not going to be thrown perfectly every time. T.Y. Hilton's paid a lot of money to catch that ball. If it's a little bit behind him, he could have made that catch. And that's why they're settling for a field goal right now.
This season, Vinatieri from 50 plus, 3 out of 4. This one is from 52 yards away. And Vinatieri is right down the middle. He turned 43 years old earlier this week. Unbelievable. Keeps it rolling. The 27th field goal of 50 plus in his career. And now we've got a 1-point game with 6:29 to go. Week 17 continues later today on CBS and Fox. And then tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC. 6:29 to go, second quarter. Titans lead the Colts 14-13 in what could be the final game for Chuck Pagano. His contract is up at the end of the league year. Does not have a new offer on the table right now. He was offered an extension last offseason, turned it down. Said this week he has no regrets about doing that. It was just a one-year deal. As McAfee kicks it away to McBride, it's a touchback, and Tennessee will start this drive at the 20-yard line.
When you talk about Chuck Pagano, he's going to have options. He's going to have some options no matter what happens. And you're right, the one-year extension, he kind of felt it was a snub. It was not a move out of respect from the Indianapolis Colts. He decided to roll the dice, and this year has been a little bit of a debacle for him. And
well, he's under a different measuring stick than a lot of head coaches. He's got an elite young quarterback coming into his prime, so I think the bar for him has been raised, perhaps unfairly, perhaps not, but 3 10-win seasons to start his career in Indianapolis. And goodness gracious.
On first down, the Titans keep it on the ground with Bishop Sankey. Well, we flat out asked Pagano Friday, do you expect to be back next year? And he said, that's my plan. I love it here. I want to stay. I will fight to be here next season. So in his mind, he wants to be back, but Jim Irsay, the owner, Ryan Grigson, the GM, they will huddle up, and could be a lot of coaching changes coming within the next 24 hours in the NFL. And Pagano could be one of them. Sankey again on 2nd and 6, and Sankey picks up a couple. It'll be 3rd down. Mike Mularkey told us he wants to see more out of Bishop Sankey. He's kind of been the forgotten man this season. First 2 games, he had 24 carries. Since then, 19 carries. The rest of the year coming into the day. He was a 2nd-round pick last year, and the Titans have a lot of questions about Sankey moving forward. Third down and 2, and Mettenberger's in the shotgun. And Mettenberger's pass is knocked down. Kendall Langford got a hand on that one, and Mularkey sends out his punter. That's the 3rd 3-and-out today by Tennessee, the most in the NFL, with 51 on the year.
well, you see Delaney Walker, he was slipping underneath that line of scrimmage. That's who Zach Mettenberger was going to go to. If this ball wasn't tipped, it was going to be lucky to be completed to Walker for enough for even a 2-yard gain for the first down. You see Delaney Walker coming across right here. The Colts are starting to figure out the Titans' plan. Get the ball to Delaney Walker. They had 3 guys there ready for him.
Kern punts to Gray. The rookie comes up to the 25, fields it, and a flag is down on the far side of the field at the 27-yard line, and it's going to be against the Colts.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 31, 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick, first down, Indianapolis.
That goes against Jaleel Brown. It will be Colts football when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. And by Wendy's.
4:59 remains in the second quarter. The Titans lead the Colts 14-13. Final day of the regular season in the NFL. Possibly the final day on the Colts sideline for Chuck Pagano. His future in doubt. His team will start this drive at the 22-yard line. Excuse me, the 17-yard line.
Ready?
Freeman out route to Andre Johnson. He's got the catch and a first down. Shoved out by Wesley Woodyard. But a first down catch for Andre Johnson. A gain of 14 as Colts fans keep an eye on the scoreboard. And now Houston has extended its lead on Jacksonville. Colts need 9 different games to go their way today. And Houston losing is one of them. So that's one of the big problems right now from a Colts perspective.
That's one of a number of big problems from the Colts perspective.
Gore. And Frank Gore slides across the 35-yard line.
Yeah, this is getting into the rhythm of the game now. We saw the Colts start out with all the misdirection and the quick release passes. But you knew sooner or later that Frank Gore in the running game, we're going to have to take over the lion's share of this offense. And as he comes off and the Colts send on Trey Williams, you got to think, too, that this is going to be a down where they're not going to hand it off and maybe let Josh Freeman throw this.
Trey Williams made his NFL debut last week on special teams. Does not have a carry or a catch. And here's his first touch as an NFL player. Trey Williams. Zach Brown tackles him out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Welcome to the NFL, Trey Williams.
There's a little tendency breaker. The guy who hasn't had a catch or a touch all year gets the pitch from Freeman and turns it up and turns into a kick return. That's a nice little run on a 2nd and 5.
And the guy's 5'7", they say he's 195 pounds. I don't believe that, but I'll tell you, when he got the ball in his hands, I felt my heart kind of jump a little bit. He has a burst to him. He got to that edge pretty quick.
He's been on 4 different teams this year. Undrafted out of Texas A&M, cut by Washington, Dallas, and the Patriots. Finally, his first NFL touch comes with the Colts. Freeman to a wide-open Gore. He threw it behind him, and it's incomplete. Gore was open, but Freeman missed it.
Yeah, there's another pass. We talked about the T.Y. Hilton pass a little while ago that was out of bounds. That one right there is out behind Gore. He can't pull it in, and you see there he's got, it's obvious. Gore, if he can catch it and turn it up, at least he can accept the tackle by Griffin and maybe get an extra couple of yards. That's an incompletion on a bad throw.
And that is one of the knocks on Freeman. Accuracy can be an issue with him, and that's one of the things that really hurt him in his chance to make the start in Minnesota. He was only 20 of 53. You got to be able to make the easy throws.
Pressure coming from Klug. Freeman off the hands of Gore and incomplete. And now a late penalty flag comes in.
We're going to have some guys down the field. Offensive linemen were getting out ahead of that middle screen, and it was just a little late developing.
Ineligible man downfield, offense number 75. That penalty's declined, brings up 3rd down.
Penalties against Jack Mewhort, but Mike Mularkey has declined it. It's 3rd down for Indianapolis. Colts in this first half, 3 for 7 on 3rd down conversions. As Andrew Luck watches on. Still not able to be cleared for play as he recovers from a lacerated kidney. On 3rd and 10, pressure coming. Freeman steps up, fires, incomplete. tried to squeeze it into Dante Moncrief, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, Moncrief stopped running at the top of the route. Freeman stepped into this throw. Moncrief, watch as he comes out. He's going to turn around and kind of pick it up. And look, he just kind of stops running and then has to try and burst. That's a great throw by Freeman and a bad route coming out of that route by Moncrief.
But those are the things that really show up when a quarterback has not had a chance to develop that chemistry with the wide receiver, how he's going to respond, how he's going to read the coverage, what the adjustment is. Obviously, Josh Freeman felt that Moncrief was going to continue over the middle. Moncrief read it differently. It should have been a conversion, but it wasn't.
Here's McAfee to punt. Douglas at the 10, lets it bounce. And what a play by Brown. Jaleel Brown was able to save that one from going out of the end zone, and McAfee with his golf finish. Steve Tasker, you know a thing or two about plays like this.
Listen, it's not rocket science, but it's not easy either. So many times you see so many guys muff this into the end zone. They can't figure out how to keep it out.
They
Great
panic.
job. Yeah, they panic. I mean, it's just not that difficult. These guys can do it in their sleep against air in practice every week, but when they get into a game, something happens, and then McAfee backs up the wedge shot.
A little golf wave.
Yeah, even punters get their little moment.
Oh.
He's a character, but his punt and the play by Brown has Mettenberger under center at the 1-yard line. Cobb trying to give it a little bit of breathing room, and he gets to the 4-yard line.
Yeah, and the reason it's such a big play is that bad things happen to offenses when they're down inside their 5-yard line or inside their 2-yard line. It's just really uncomfortable for them to try and come out of that area. And only, it really gives your defense a chance to really come after them, really knuckle down on the pass rush, on the run defense. You know they're going to run it, and it's just a great momentum grab by the special teams of the Colts.
Tennessee will let the 2-minute warning set in before they call another play. It'll be 2nd and 7 when we come back. Chuck Pagano in his 4th year as Colts coach, possibly his final game on the Indianapolis sideline. Each team with 3 timeouts remaining, 2 minutes to go in the first half. It's 2nd and 7 for Tennessee. They spot it at the Tennessee 5-yard line. Again, Cobb on the carry, and Cobb picks up 3. It'll be 3rd down, and Chuck Pagano has called timeout. 2 remaining as he hopes to get the ball back here with good field position. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, Coach Cowher of all the latest NFL scores, highlights, and analysis, as well as the very latest on the NFL playoff races. It's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report.
Keep an eye on Zach Mettenberger as well. We saw the training staff working on his forearm on the sideline during a couple of the breaks. Alex Tanney, the backup quarterback, was warming up actually at one point, so we'll see if he can keep it loose enough to come out in the second half.
Feast or famine so far for Tennessee. 5 drives, 3 3-and-outs, 2 touchdowns. Trying to avoid another 3-and-out here. It's 3rd and 3. Mettenberger incomplete. Looking for Delaney Walker off his hands, and Tennessee will be forced to punt.
This is a throw that Zach Mettenberger has to put right on Delaney Walker's body. It's a stick route, the most basic route between a quarterback and a tight end. Get that ball out in front of him. It's a very difficult catch with a guy in his. You've got to put that ball on the numbers. Let him fall for that first down.
Well, it's got to be a fastball too, so you got to put it on his body so he can trap it, because it's tight coverage, a small window.
But you got to make that play.
You got to make the play.
Yep.
So Kern will punt from his own end zone, and Bray is at the 40. Bray from the 40, gets away from 1. And Bray is slammed down by Steve Johnson after a 51-yard punt. 1:39 remains. Tomorrow on an all-new Late Show with Stephen Colbert, don't miss Samuel L. Jackson. Plus, Later this week, Jerry Seinfeld and Matthew Broderick, all new Colbert, all this week. So Steve Berline, a new quarterback has come in. Ryan Lindley will have his first action as an Indianapolis Colt. So
that tells me maybe he got the 2-minute work during this week at practice.
It's only so much they wanted to put on Freeman's plate. This is Lindley's department. See what he can do. Completes his first pass to Kobe Fleener. Michael Griffin on the tackle.
I thought we might see some of this, that both guys would get some snaps, give one guy a package he could maybe slightly master, and let the other guy handle the other package, and Lindley's on the field.
Lindley with a first down completion to Andre Johnson.
This makes a lot of sense.
For the Colts.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Let Lindley have a small list of plays he can come in and throw. He's started in a playoff game just this last offseason in Arizona, so he should be pretty familiar with this type of atmosphere.
Over the middle, he's 3 for 3 as Fleener brings in another.
Well, it gives them a chance as they take a timeout here. It gives the quarterbacks a chance to really focus on a very specific area they're going to focus on themselves during the game. I do like the strategy.
It's a Colts timeout. They have one left, 58 seconds to go. Don't forget, coming up, Verizon Halftime Report. Our guys back in New York, they'll have all the latest NFL scores, highlights, and analysis. Update the playoff races as well, all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Lindley spent training camp this year with the Patriots. He was cut on September 4th, said he was very discouraged and frustrated not to get another look until week 17. But funny story about Lindley, he was in New York for the holidays with his wife's family. He was at the gate at JFK Airport about to get on a plane to go home with his wife. Before he was boarding, got the call from the Colts. They said, don't get on that plane. We want to work you out. So his bag is somewhere at the Phoenix airport. Lindley flew right here to Indianapolis. Fleener with a first down catch. Only one timeout left now for the Colts.
Well, they should have called 2 plays in the huddle right there. They're not looking like they did. That should have been done. That would have been.
Well, I think that's one of the things you got to compromise when you've got a new guy.
35 seconds to go. Lindley to Gore, incomplete. That will stop the clock with 31 seconds to go.
You really got to talk about these Lindley and Freeman. They got in on Monday, Tuesday of this week, and they've been at the facility, and unless when they went home to go to bed and sleep, they had been up studying night and day and practicing the playbook to try and master enough of it to give them some flexibility and enough of a playlist that they can execute. You see there, Josh Freeman trying to read those plays off of that list, and those 3 guys that have been here, Luck, Hasselbeck, and Whitehurst, they've all been in it 100% as well. So you got a whole committee of guys trying to help one guy at a time play quarterback.
2nd and 10, play action. Lindley hit as he throws, completes it to T.Y. Hilton. Hilton at the 20. Hilton wisely out of bounds at the 17-yard line. A gain of 19 for T.Y. Hilton.
You gotta be impressed with this by Lindley. Under pressure, a snap throw on the money to T.Y. Hilton. That's a throw. The timing has to be perfect. The ball has to be accurate, and it was impressive on just a couple of days of work.
One of the things you forget is during practice, you have 2 quarterbacks you're trying to get ready. You can split them up and start taking reps with tight ends and running backs at one end with one guy in a package of plays. Go to the other end and let Lindley take some 2-minute drill with the other guys. You practice them both at the same time and they can get ready.
Lindley over the middle, incomplete, and he had Dorsett wide open in the end zone.
Oh, I'm jumping through the roof up here. This came up aces for the Indianapolis Colts. Dropped coverage, nobody running with
Dorsett
up the seam, excuse me. And he was wide open. That would have been an easy touchdown if you got one of your veteran quarterbacks in there. Lindley just not quite confident enough to pull the trigger.
One guy not out there right now for the Colts is Dante Moncrief. He has a toe injury. His return is questionable. 2nd and 10, Colts already in field goal range. Lindley taking another shot toward the end zone. Johnson, did he get that in?
Yes.
He did! What a play by the veteran, Andre Johnson.
He caught the ball and fell out of bounds short of the goal line, extended the ball in his right hand inside the pylon. What a great play by the veteran receiver. Lindley puts it up, and the DB runs past the play. You can see Webb goes past it, and just in the nick of time, Andre Johnson extends past the goal line. A high throw, standing in there, does Lindley catch, feet down, and gets it in. What an unbelievable 2-minute drive by a guy who hadn't taken a snap all day.
They will review this. All scoring plays will be looked at. If it stands, it's the 68th career touchdown for Andre Johnson and the 3rd
That's
for Ryan Lindley.
To me, that's a touchdown. From both angles, you can kind of cross-reference it. He did get the ball past the pylon above it.
You can't forget how great a receiver and player Andre Johnson has been. And his plays like that, the ability to just know exactly where he is on the field and to make the difference to get that ball into the end zone, spectacular play on his part.
Vinatieri for the extra point. And the Colts take a 20-14 lead on the Titans with 13 seconds remaining.
And what can you say about this guy? Coming in a 2-minute drill, cold off the bench. Surprised us even that he was going in there.
Well,
but they knew what their assignments were. Chuck Pagano did a great job managing the clock, giving him a chance to make some plays, and he looked very comfortable out there.
And now after halftime, you can come out and say, listen, we can give you Josh Freeman, or we can bring Lindley in as well and go for the hot hand. And watch as this ball inside the pylon there, just past the front edge of that white line. That's all it takes. But now Chuck Pagano and the coaching staff can go in at halftime and say, hey, we can expand a little bit now. We can bring either guy in. They got to feel better about Lindley coming in throwing the football.
One thing that needs to be said, though, B.W. Webb was in position to make that play, and that was poor defense on his part. He should not have allowed that pass to be completed.
Mike Mularkey told us one of the reasons these defensive backs are playing is because they haven't been making enough plays on free balls up in the secondary.
That's a great example.
Contested balls have been their bane of this secondary. They can't get an interception because their ball skills haven't been up to snuff. They've shuffled that defensive backfield around for just that reason.
McAfee kicks it away to McBride. And it will be another touchback for Pat McAfee. On that drive, Ryan Lindley was 6 for 8 for 58 yards and the touchdown to Andre Johnson.
Both of these quarterbacks, you see them right there, they've established a bond, believe me, the two of them over the last few days that'll probably never be broken, but both of them acquitting themselves very well, taking advantage of their opportunity. They both desperately want to get back in the NFL, and this is the kind of opportunity that can make a difference, get him into a camp on a positive note for next year.
And look, Matt Hasselbeck there in the middle of him with the baseball cap talking to him, getting in their ear, and that brings us to the close of the first half. But, you know, you're right. Number 3 and number 5 right there is kind of us against the world for them this week, and they're coming through.
A wacky first half that saw 34 points scored. The Colts have a 20-14 lead on the Titans. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. The Colts fighting to stay alive in the AFC South at halftime. They lead the Titans 20-14. Back in the booth with Steve Berlon and Steve Tasker. I'm Andrew Catalon. Hard to figure out the NFL these days. The Colts had gone 4 straight games without scoring 20 points in a game. They signed 2 quarterbacks off the street this week, and they have 20 points at halftime. How do you explain that?
I can't explain it. I thought this was going to be a 10-7 type of ball game. These quarterbacks have exceeded my expectations. Chuck Pagano has got to be very excited right now.
Yeah, and for the Tennessee Titans, they've run for 71 yards. They've only thrown it for 38 yards. That has to change. It's all about their pass protection. Mettenberger's under a lot of pressure. He's only been able to complete 5 of 11 passes. Their offense has to step up for Tennessee.
As we've told you throughout the day, the Colts need to win, and then 8 other games have to go their way. Here's the 1 o'clock games, and right now, with the exception of one, it's going okay for them.
Yeah, you look at these right here, all of these games, exactly what the Colts need, or at least they're in play. But the one right here, the triple whammy, Houston not cooperating, they're acting like they want to win the division and make it difficult, make everything else moot for the Indianapolis Colts. But shoot, all those other games are exactly the way I think Chuck Pagano would want it, with a half to go in his ball game.
Maybe Pagano called Gus Bradley at halftime, gave him a little pep talk for his Jaguars as they need a big Jacksonville comeback down in Houston. It'll be Tennessee football to start this second half. Another touchback for McAfee, and out comes Zach Mettenberger and the Tennessee Titans.
Well, the flag comes out late as there's more chippiness going on out there after the play. The kickoff return team and the coverage team.
Each team penalized 3 times in the first half.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Kicking team number 91. It's a 15-yard penalty from the 20-yard line. First down.
Penalty is on Jonathan Newsom, the second-year man out of Ball State. So that'll move the ball all the way up to the 35-yard line for the Tennessee Titans to start this half. Look at the first half numbers. Just 38 yards passing for Mettenberger, 29 yards net passing, and the one turnover, the interception by Josh Freeman that went off the hands of Boom Herron. First and 10 for the Titans. Delaney Walker incomplete. He was open, but a misconnection there between Mettenberger and Walker.
Well, if there's another thing about Zach Mettenberger he's got to work on, you know, he's a big, strong quarterback, but not overly athletic and mobile. That required some pretty, you know, just athletic footwork to make that throw, and he's not able to get it done right there. He's got to step up this second half and show he can make it happen for this Tennessee Titans team.
He has 5 completions today, all 5 to Delaney Walker. On second and 10, they hand it off and some room to run for Cobb. David Cobb into Indianapolis territory and out of bounds, but a flag comes down and more extracurricular. On the Colts sideline, that is Byron Bell for the Titans, and a lot of talking going on right now.
Yeah, you can tell it's the last halftime of the season, last half of football of the season, and a lot of these guys know that it's going to be their last chance to make a statement about their career next year with the teams that we're watching play here today. And, you know, they're going to come out and give it a sprint to the finish here.
Holding. Offense, number 76. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Still second down.
Well, the call goes against Byron Bell, who was called for holding twice last week, but no penalties on the extracurricular after the play.
Right here it is. It's got the outside of the shoulder pad of Jarrell Freeman, and that's where the call comes from.
So that penalty negates a 23-yard run by David Cobb. Makes it second down and 15. Mettenberger's pass deflected and picked off. It's Freeman. Touchdown, Colts. The second touchdown of Jarrell Freeman's career.
Well, it's the worst thing that can happen to a quarterback. You throw this football, it gets batted straight up into the air, right in the traffic with all the pass rush, and none of your offensive linemen are watching the quarterback. All the defenders are. When the ball pops up, they're the only ones that can see it, and it's an easy walk-in touchdown for Freeman.
That was Dwight Lowry on the deflection. Freeman had the easy catch, and Zach Mettenberger now has got his work cut out for him. He's going to test him here this second half. He's got to find a way to pump some confidence into his teammates.
Extra point by Vinatieri is good. That's the 4th pick 6 this season by the Colts defense. They've scored 17 straight points. Jarrell Freeman played at Division III Mary Hardin Baylor. He was an undrafted free agent with the Titans in 2008. Was cut by Tennessee, played 3 years in the CFL with Saskatchewan, now in his 4th year with the Colts. And Freeman, with his 4th straight 100-tackle season, he tacks on a pick 6 of Zach Mettenberger to give Indianapolis a 27-14 lead. It's a touchback from McAfee, and Mettenberger and the Titans offense back out on the field. They'll start at the 20. CBS Sports brings you 2 big college basketball games next week. Saturday, star freshman Ben Simmons and LSU take on Florida. And then on Sunday, it's big time in the Big Ten as Ohio State faces Indiana. It all begins on Saturday with Inside College Basketball right here on the road to the Final Four. CBS Sports, check your local listings. And we have a new quarterback for Tennessee, Alex Tanney, who has not appeared in an NFL game in his career. And now he's got 1 snap. He hands it off to Cobb, and Cobb gets to the 24-yard line. We saw Zach Mettenberger getting his right arm worked on in the first half. We don't know if he's been taken out because of that or if this is just a coach's decision. But right now, Alex Tanney is the quarterback.
Well, Mettenberger's not getting looked at by the training staff now on the sideline, so I would suspect it's a coach's decision. And I'll tell you this, too. You talk about Mike Mularkey and the pressure he's under as an interim head coach. He's making some decisions that speak to me. It's about the future of this team, not the here and now.
First NFL pass for Alex Tanney is caught by Delaney Walker, and he's got a Tennessee first down.
We spoke about the things that Mike Mularkey was trying to get done in this game. He's an interim head coach trying to win the job, but you go to Alex Tanney at this spot, you take Mettenberger out. Mettenberger's the guy that took all the reps. He's got some defensive backs playing some spots to find out about them. He's shuffling his running backs. This speaks to me about a head coach who's saying, you know what, we got to find out about this thing. Whether I'm here or not, the organization's going to know about some of these young players. You got to tip your hat to a guy like Mularkey for making those decisions.
Another handoff, this time to Sankey. And this was earlier in the first half. Zach Mettenberger on the Tennessee sideline was getting worked on. That's his right arm.
Yeah, and I can tell you, you get a problem with the forearm area there. It really affects the way you can squeeze the football. He's obviously uncomfortable with that now. Maybe they came in at halftime and said, we're going to give you a shot in the 3rd quarter, see if you can get it going, see how you feel out there. Who knows what the reasoning is. He is kind of holding that on funny, but he hasn't performed very well either. I think Mularkey's saying, let's just try and get a jump start.
On the ground again, and Tennessee with another first down thanks to David Cobb. Monte Davis makes the tackle. All right, well, as if the quarterback situation today wasn't crazy enough, last week, Alex Tanney was on the Colts practice squad. He was signed by Tennessee off the Indianapolis practice squad last week, and now he's playing against the Colts. He was on the Colts practice squad for 2 months. That's just how crazy it is.
It's week 17 for 2 teams that probably aren't going to the playoffs. One of them for sure isn't. It's wacky.
Cobb. And Cobb gets a couple, and again, pushing and shoving after the play. This time, David Perry and the tight end Craig Stevens mixing it up.
Well, all these guys know it's week 17, and Tennessee, as you mentioned, Steve Tasker, not playing next week for sure. Indianapolis holding on by by a thread. The emotions are going to get high. Guys are going to kind of get worked up a little bit out there, so we would expect to see more of that toward this end of this ball game.
Career high 47 yards rushing for David Cobb. His number called again. And Cobb, the 5th round pick out of Minnesota, gets to the 46-yard line.
You bring up an interesting point, Steve. These guys, they're playing kind of chippy, and you don't do that unless you're invested. And you got 2 coaching staffs that are trying their best to get a full effort out of their players, trying to keep them motivated. The Tennessee Titans in particular, with an interim head coach. You got to tip your hat to the coaching staffs. These guys, they really are playing like there is something to play for, like the playoffs, and that's a tip of the hat to Mike Mularkey.
Being told that Mettenberger has a forearm injury, his return is questionable. 3rd down and 1. Titans 1 for 7 on 3rd downs. They get their second with Delaney Walker. All the way up to the 34-yard line. That's the 7th catch today by Delaney Walker. Lowry and Freeman on the tackles.
Really nice throw by Alex Tanney. It was one of those classic little pick plays on the outside. Delaney Walker coming underneath the screen of his wide receiver. I think it was Dorial Green-Beckham. But right there, that ball was delivered on time, on the money by Tanney.
That's not a pick. That's a rub.
It's whatever you want to call it.
There's a difference.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Tanney cannot get away from Freeman. He had the pick six, and now Jarrell Freeman with a sack.
Yeah, he comes unblocked off the right side. It looked like Tanney thought he could do it with his athleticism right off the top. Coming off late, and Tanney can't get away from him. Got that ankle sack. Coming looping around all the way inside, and Fasano lets Freeman go and then tries to release, and not enough. Can't get away from it.
Steve Berlin, let me ask you this. Is there any type of advantage or comfort that Tanney has since he practiced against this Colts defense for the last 2 months?
Well, you're more worried about just getting the play called and knowing who you're supposed to throw the ball to. I'm really impressed. It's not as easy as he's making it look.
David Cobb with some more hard running in this third quarter, all the way up to the 37-yard line. Another tackle for Jarrell Freeman. It's third down.
That's a big play right there because it gives them a chance to get the field goal even if they don't convert this third down.
You know, one of the points, though, Andrew, to that what you were getting at, a lot of times in a situation like this, you don't have enough time to really be concerned about the defense. You just go out and you play like you're playing with your friends out in the street, and sometimes people play their best when that is kind of their mentality in a situation like this.
Third down and 13. Tanney to Antonio Andrews out of the backfield, and he's smacked down at the 30-yard line. 5 yards short of a first down. It's fourth down, and out comes the kicker, Suckup.
Yeah, the one thing about Tanney, though, is he takes this, and this is nice patience by him. Trust his offensive line, takes all the time he needs, and has to ultimately hit the check down. But you know this, as a quarterback, when he's looking across at the defense, it's weird when you know those guys across there as you're, I mean, he's probably had a few pops with those guys, you know, and now to be playing against them, that's got to be a little bit weird.
Ryan Suckup with just one field goal attempt in the last 5 games. This one from 49 yards out. And it is good. Suckup now 14 out of 16 on the season. And we've got a 10-point game with 7:30 to go in the third quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. Snickers. Snickers satisfies. And by Mercedes-Benz. Experience truly great engineering today at your authorized dealer.
Aerial coverage of today's game is provided by MetLife. Injury update for the Colts. Vontae Davis, knee injury. His return is unknown. You see him there on the Indianapolis sideline trying to stretch it out. His team leads by 10 with 7:30 to go in the third quarter.
One of the more established defensive players for Chuck Pagano. Vontae Davis, respected as one of the top cover corners in the league.
Josh Freeman has his helmet on, so it appears that Freeman will have the opening drive of the second half for the Colts. Of course, the last drive of the first half went to Ryan Lindley. Suckup kicks it away to Bray. And it's a touchback. Freeman trots out. Colts ball from the 20. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The second annual Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award honors NFL players who exemplify outstanding sportsmanship on the field. Each NFL team nominates one player. And in December, a panel of NFL legends culled the list down to 8 finalists. The winner will be decided by a vote of current NFL players and announced at the NFL Honors Award Show on February 6th. Jason McCourty of the Titans, Matt Hasselbeck of the Colts were selected as finalists for this year's award. Hasselbeck ruled out today with the shoulder sprain. Watching as Josh Freeman hands it off to Frank Gore. First offensive play this half for the Indianapolis Colts. Daquan Jones with the tackle. And now an injured Colt remains down on the field, and that is Joe Wrights, the fifth-year right tackle out of Western Michigan, a native of Fishers, Indiana. And the Colts training staff attending to Wrights with the clock stopped, 7:21 to go in the third quarter. We'll check on him and come back to Indianapolis in a moment.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by T-Mobile. Ditch your carrier and switch to the Un-carrier. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Wrights was able to walk off under his own power. Lance Lewis comes into play, right guard. Denzel Good at right tackle. On 2nd and 9 for Indianapolis. Freeman completes it to T.Y. Hilton, who's dragged down from behind by Cody Sensabaugh, but not before a gain of 15.
That was a strike from Josh Freeman right there. We haven't seen him since late in the first half, but right there, very decisive, accurate, tight spiral right between the 1 and the 3 for T.Y. Hilton. He did the rest.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're starting to notice about Freeman and the passes he's completing. They seem to be those ones where they're hook routes, whether they're deep or short. Throw it right at the body.
Frank Gore on first down. And Zach Brown makes the tackle for Tennessee. Josh Freeman, Ryan Lindley, both brought in this week, and both playing pretty good football here so far today.
They really are. The one interception for Freeman, not really his fault. It was on that kind of muffed up screen pass. We've got a stoppage of play out here for some reason.
Yeah, there's another Colt that's shaken up. And that is Denzel Good. So Good slowly walks off. We'll return in a moment. This Thursday, meet a guardian angel with no wings, no halo, and no boundaries. Jane Lynch stars in Angel from Hell, premiering Thursday at 9:30, 8:30 Central, only CBS. So the Colts, the reshuffled line right now is Denzel Good is on the sideline, and so is Joe Wrights. So right now, Khalid Holmes is coming to the game to play left guard, and Jack Mewhort is going to slide over to right tackle.
Yeah, I think this will probably be for one play at the most. Denzel Good looks like he's ready to come back in. He just needed a moment to collect himself. When the trainers get out there, he has to come off for a play.
Meanwhile, Dante Moncrief will not return for the Colts today. He's out with a toe injury. Freeman hits, he throws, completes it to Fleener, and Fleener to the 43-yard line. Josh Freeman took a shot right there.
That was Wesley Woodyard on the blitz right up the gut. Freeman did a nice job to get rid of it and accurately distribute that ball. You can see right there, not a whole heck of a lot of time. He had to know where he was going, where his safety valve was.
Well, you know, the offensive line was just shuffling around. They brought some heat, and now, of course, Denzel Good's back in the game, moving Mewhort back to left guard. Now they're back to normal, at least some semblance of it.
Houston still up 20-3 on Jacksonville. If the Texans win, they are AFC South champions.
Pressure!
Boom Herron on 3rd and 3. Freeman rolling right. Pump fake, going to try to keep it himself. Josh Freeman, that's a first down. Tackled at midfield by Carl Klug, but Josh Freeman scrambling to pick up the first.
Really nice job by Josh Freeman. He's a very athletic big man at 6'6", about 245 pounds, but he sees the pressure coming up the middle, knows that there's nobody containing on the right side, and he trusts himself to get out there and make the necessary yardage for a first down. Good decision by him. You know, when you're not sure about where to go with the football into that pressure, you got to trust your athletic ability at times.
That snap count gets the Titans to jump.
Sammy Hill jumped across. You're right, Steve. Every first down is gold for
Encroachment.
Freeman.
Defense, number 94. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You know, you got to know Josh Freeman. You got to tip your hat to him. We spoke about it earlier in the game, but this is a guy that was playing virtually for free in Brooklyn. And, you know, trying to stay in shape, stay sharp. He was in training camp early in the year with Miami, had a cup of coffee with the Giants. He wants to play.
Yep, obviously, and you do have to tip your hat to him, because he made a lot of money as a young man.
There he is.
And there he is as a Bolt right there, Brooklyn Bolt. But he wants to play football, and he's taking care of himself.
Freeman gets rid of it, incomplete, try to connect with Frank Gore. His coach with the Brooklyn Bolts was Terry Shea, who's been around for a while and has actually served as a mentor over the years to Josh Freeman. And it was Shea that said, hey, you want to stay in shape and keep your arm fresh, come play with me. And that's what he did with the Brooklyn Bolts. And, you know, week 17, last week, Freeman said he was sitting on his couch watching the NFL Red Zone channel when the Colts called him. So his brother said, why are you still doing this late in the season? It's Christmas time, just enjoy it a little bit. Why don't you back off your training and gear up for next year? And Josh said, hey, you never know when you're going to get the call. And sure enough, on his couch last week, he got a phone call. Freeman, this time incomplete for Hilton.
And that's just a missed throw right there.
Yep, bad throw. But what I've been impressed with, and we had a chance to talk with Josh Freeman by phone the other day, his mentality, I think his perspective has changed. He's a few years older. There were some character issues with him when he was in Tampa Bay, which may have been part of why he was let go when he was. But I think he now realizes the opportunity that he kind of wasted away with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As a first-round franchise quarterback, now to get an opportunity in this situation, he realizes how lucky he is.
Denzel Good is back in at right tackle for the Colts. 3rd down and 5. Freeman low throw incomplete. Brian Orakpo is coming with pressure for the Titans.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row that we're in the dirt and behind the receiver. And it's one of the most untalked about and underrated qualities of a quarterback. The ball's got to go where you aim it. A lot of quarterbacks, and we saw Mettenberger do this for the Titans. They kind of nonchalant. If they can get it in the general direction, the guy will make a play for him. You got to put the thing right in the window.
Well, I can tell you, there are times where a coach, when I was a young quarterback, said a receiver was open. I said, no, he's not open, coach. He said, you got to put that number on the 4 and the 1-4. But you got to put that on his left shoulder. He's open.
Colts down the punt at the 16-yard line. More pushing and shoving on special teams. We've seen that a lot here today. Clock is stopped with 3:55 to go in the 3rd quarter. Delaney Walker, a glaring snub for the Pro Bowl this year. He's having a big day once again for the Tennessee offense. He's got 7 catches for 56 yards. He also ran the ball once for 36 yards.
Yeah, he's already set the franchise record for receptions coming into today, not including today's numbers. He leads all the tight ends in the league in receptions coming into today. He's caught 6 or more passes in 10 of 15 games this year. That guy has had a really, really good season for the Titans.
Alex Tanney remains at quarterback for the injured Zach Mettenberger, and Tanney looking to throw to Green Beckham, who comes back to make the catch and a 1st down. First catch today for Dorial Green Beckham, a gain of 16.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a great job of blitz pickup in the backfield. Tanney turned his back on the play action, and the running back did a nice job of picking up Griffin, or Dwight Lowry, who was blitzing off the side. There you see it. If that block is not made by David Cobb, the rookie, Alex Tanney is face planted into the ground, and that pass is not completed.
It's just amazing. That was the 31st catch of the season for Green Beckham. 29 of the 31 have gone for 1st downs. That's 94% as Cobb gets to the 35-yard line. If Beckham finishes at 94%, it'd be the 6th highest in NFL history for percentage of catches that go for a 1st down. Henry Ellard, the all-time leader in 1994, 95% of his catches went for a 1st down.
And he's also averaging over 17 yards a catch, so he's had the big playability as well. So, you know, that kind of goes hand in hand with making 1st downs when you catch those long balls like we just saw.
Yeah, I've really got high expectations for that young man. He's a big group receiver, kind of in the mold of a Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson.
Cobb keeping the legs moving to the 40-yard line. Newsom on the tackle, and an injury update for the Colts. Vontae Davis will not return with a knee injury. Indianapolis without Winston Guy today, the defensive back, still sidelined by a hamstring injury. As Tennessee gets set for 3rd and 1, they're 2 for 9 today on 3rd downs. Cobb, nowhere to go. Zach Kerr, the first one to meet him. He is short of a 1st down.
Tennessee all year has been one of the worst football teams in the league on 3rd down, converting only 32%, 29th in the NFL, and it's because of reasons like this. You need to get that tough yard. You got to get down and root them out. The running back has to slam it up in there. You can see the dark blue dominated that line of scrimmage. There was penetration. Cobb had no chance.
4th and 1 on his own 40-yard line, and Mike Mularkey sends out Brett Kern. Good high kick from Kern. Out of bounds at the 9-yard line. That was a great job by Brett Kern, who grew up a huge fan of Steve Tasker. Kern is from just outside of Buffalo, is a big Bills fan. His first NFL game was the wild card comeback win by the Bills over the Houston Oilers, and one of his favorite players, Mr. Tasker. I don't have any stories on my chart about Steve Berline being a favorite player.
What I want to know, I think, are you just making that up? Because how could you come out and say this guy was a Steve Tasker fan?
It's in his bio in the media guide.
Really? That
yes.
he says, well, you know what? I tip my hat to you, partner.
I have a small and deeply disturbed following. I count you two among it, by the way.
So thanks to the great punt by the Tasker fan, Brett Kern, it's 1st and 10 for the Colts, backed up. And they start this drive on the ground. Frank Gore on that carry as we give you the Colts scoreboard watch. And again, a lot of things going right except the big one in Houston.
And this one's starting to go south either. Cincinnati needed to get beat by Baltimore, and that one's turning the wrong way for the Colts as well. And of course, this is the big one. Houston wins, they're in. They control their own destiny.
Chuck Pagano, each of his first 3 years, went to the playoffs, went to the AFC Championship game last year, but barring a miracle, the Colts will come up short of the postseason this year. Freeman to Hilton. David Bass makes the tackle. And that could be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Freeman will let the time tick down. It'll be 3rd and 4 when we start the 4th quarter. Colts lead 27-17. We'll return to Indianapolis after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. This year's 10 national champions of the NFL punt, pass, and kick program, powered by USA Football, were honored during today's game. NFL punt, pass, and kick is the oldest grassroots initiative at the NFL. Colts hosted the championships yesterday. The program continues to reach children ages 6 to 15, allows them to experience the fun of learning football fundamentals in an engaging and supportive environment. Congratulations to all the winners.
Hey, I absolutely benefited from that program when I was an 8-year-old and all the way through my 13-year-old years. Had a lot of fun and went a long way in that punt, pass, and kick competition. Great experience.
3rd down and 1 for the Colts to start this quarter. Pressure coming. Freeman is sacked. David Bass getting in the backfield to bring down Freeman, and out comes the punt team for the Colts.
Well, this is going to come from way outside, and that's a blown protection scheme. You got to have a hat on the guy. Look at it, he just comes right off the right tackle. They double team down inside with the center guard, and then the tackle had to go down inside for the defensive end.
You know, one of the key parts of being a quarterback is identifying the right guy to point out for your protection. I think, to me, that sounded like or looked like Josh Freeman had identified the wrong guy.
Good punt by McAfee, driving Douglas back to the 32. And Douglas out of bounds at the 42-yard line. 14-12 to go as we update the Houston Texans score with the Jaguars. And Jacksonville has added a field goal, so they're now down 2 touchdowns late in the third quarter. If Houston holds on, they win the division. Alex Tanney continues to play quarterback for the injured Zach Mettenberger. Tanney is second year out of Monmouth. He played 2 years of basketball at Monmouth and then quit hoops to focus on football. 8 weeks on the Colts practice squad this year, signed off the practice squad last week. He's 4 for 4 in his first NFL game. Looking to throw again over the middle. And he's 5 for 5 as Harry Douglas brings that one in. Greg Toller on the coverage and the tackle. And some of the Colts think that ball may have hit the ground. Meanwhile, there's an injured Colt, and that is Toller, who's still down.
That was a pretty violent collision, both of them with the turf.
Now keep in mind, we already told you Vontae Davis is out. He's one starting cornerback today. The other starting corner is Toller, who is still down. Clock is stopped. We're back in a moment. Greg Toller on the Colts sideline. We'll see how long he stays there. Remember, the other starting corner, Vontae Davis, already ruled out with a knee injury. So the corners right now for the Colts are Jaleel Brown and Darius Butler for this first down and 10 play. A reverse here with McBride. He's got speed, and McBride spinning his way with a penalty flag down at the 43-yard line. Freeman makes the tackle.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Defense, number 92. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down, Tennessee.
That goes against Bjorn Werner, who's seen limited time today, and it's a costly penalty.
A little razzle-dazzle out of the Tennessee Titans here. The double reverse. Trying to get a little speed to the edge, and then Mike Mularkey got to be happy with the fact that Werner was, we're going to see it right at the top here.
Yeah, right on Fasano's face mask.
Yeah.
So that moves the ball the way up to the 20-yard line. Alex Tanney still a perfect 5 for 5. Cobb picks up 2. That's the 18th carry today for David Cobb. That's a new career high. He also has a new career high in yards with 72.
Well, the 5th rounder out of Minnesota has really handled himself well. We talked about it a little bit earlier, how he picked up that nice blitz of the safety Michael Griffin off the edge. Excuse me, it was Dwight Lowry off the edge for Indianapolis.
Now an injured Titan is coming out of the game. It's Byron Bell who walks off.
Patasi is going to come in and play right tackle for the Titans. But you said, you know, you talk about the switch in quarterback, and all of a sudden the Tennessee offense seems to pick up a little bit under Tanney, with Tanney in the huddle. And, you know, if you get a guy to come in and start throwing the football around, and he starts completing every pass he throws, the running game starts to look better as well.
Second down and 8 with Sankey in at running back. Sankey tries the left side, dances his way across the 15.
It continues to be a problem, I think, for Tennessee. The defensive line of the Colts is really getting penetration. That time Zach Kerr just pushed his way and absolutely cut the cutback lane right off.
But still, it was a good solid run there by Sankey. They made a good solid 4 yards.
You got your running back kind of snaking through on a 4-yard run. They're good productive runs. No kidding.
I think he went underneath him.
Man, oh man, they've still got some problems up front for Tennessee.
Third down and 4. Delaney Walker in motion.
Blitz coming.
Tanney to Walker for a first down. First and goal for the Titans. The 8th catch today for Delaney Walker.
Well, you can't say enough about this guy coming from the inside. Now, they only send 3 guys on the rush. Tanney gets rid of this on time into a small window. That's a tough pass to complete right there. When you drop 8 guys into coverage, the windows are all half closed to begin with. And when you start moving them around, man, that's a great throw by Tanny, and Delaney Walker continues to carry this offense.
So first and goal with Cobb back in at running back. Tanny fade for Green Beckham, goes up, and he's got it for a touchdown. What a drive by Alex Tanny. He had never played in a game until today, and he's 7 for 7 for 70 yards and a touchdown.
Against the team he was been on the practice squad for 2 months. And this is the matchup you want. You see there, Green Beckham, 6'5".
That's hard to stop.
Yeah, against the 6'1", Jaleel Brown.
Ball thrown perfectly by Tanny. Again, even more impressive with the fact that he probably has not had a chance to work on that throw with Dorial Green Beckham this week. He was the backup to Zach Mettenberger. He's only been there for a week. I can't imagine he had reps on all these different plays that he's looking very comfortable executing. Great throw and catch there by Green Beckham and Tanny.
We talked to Mike Mularkey and asked him what Zach Mettenberger needed to work on. He said, hey, he's got to get the ball out of his hand quick and on time. Well, Tanny is doing exactly that, and he's doing it accurately. And this whole offense looks transformed.
They confirm the touchdown in the replay booth, and now Ryan Suckup to make it a 3-point game with 11:07 to go. The point after is good. They're cheering at the Jersey Shore. The pride of Monmouth, Alex Tanny, 7 for 7.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Honda. Hurry in for great deals during Happy Honda Days. Verizon. Better matters. And by Amazon Fire TV. Change the way you TV.
11:07 to go in the fourth quarter. The Colts lead the Titans 27-24. Alex Tanny playing for the injured Zach Mettenberger. He's 7 for 7, 70 yards and 1 touchdown in his first NFL game. Native of Lexington, Illinois. And Tanny looks great in relief of Mettenberger. A 6-play, 59-yard drive capped off by the 4th touchdown this season for Dorial Green Beckham. And we've got a 3-point game with 11:07 to go. A touchback for Suckup. And out comes the Colts offense with Ryan Lindley as the quarterback. So we saw Lindley for 1 drive in the first half. He ran the 2-minute offense, and he ran it well with the touchdown to Andre Johnson. Now his 2nd drive.
I like the move as well. You've kind of run the course with Josh Freeman, and probably the extent of the offensive plays you've given him to master. Now it's Lindley's turn. He has some great success. Give him a chance with a fresh look at this defense and see if he can spark the offense to continue with the lead.
Play action. Lindley and nobody home. A miscommunication with Andre Johnson. This was the drive late in the first half. Engineered masterfully by Ryan Lindley.
Yeah, he spread the ball around. He knew the 2-minute package very well. Obviously prepared for that exact situation. I think it was a great move by Chuck Pagano, Rob Chudzinski, the offensive coordinator, and then making throws and catches. And, you know, you got one of the greatest receivers of all time in Andre Johnson. Give him a chance to make a play, and he did.
Frank Gore on the carry, and that brings Gore to 57 yards rushing on the day. Remember, he needed to get to 109 to go over 1,000 for the season.
And as you get to this point, now it's a 3rd and about 7 for the Colts, and the Titans, after scoring that last touchdown, bringing it to within 3, now they're starting to feel a little bit better about themselves. Look for them to try and pressure. They're going to get this football back if they can get a stop here And everything kind of changes. The momentum is now with Tennessee after that nice drive.
Lindley gets rid of it, incomplete. The pressure was coming. And the Titans defense quickly gets off the field.
That's a big series for the Tennessee Titans defense to answer the touchdown that Tanny led them on previous, to come up with a 3-and-out. The Colts obviously trying to find a way to jumpstart their offense, inserting Lindley into the package there. Good pressure. They came with a nice blitz package there, and Lindley had no answer for it.
Second straight 3-and-out for the Colts offense. It was Klug and Arakpo bringing the heat. And now McAfee to punt. Douglas muffs it, falls on it. Now he lost a fumble last week. They'd already ruled him down before the Colts fell on that. There is a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. They're showing the replay on the big video board here at Lucas Oil Stadium. But he was ruled down.
Yeah,
right there.
They can't knock the ball loose when he's down. And if he's down when the guy
Ruling
hits
on
him.
the field is that the receiver was down by contact in possession with the ball. During the kick, holding, return team number 57. A 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down, Tennessee.
Yeah, Nick, you may not like the call if you're a Colt fan, but it's the right call for the officials. He was down, the ball was knocked loose while he was on the ground with possession.
Coming up next, Phillip Rivers and the Chargers battle Brock Osweiler and the Broncos with a division title and playoff seeding on the line for Denver, or the Rams take on the Niners in San Francisco, site of Super Bowl 50 on CBS. Check local listings right here on CBS Sports. And a look at the Colts scoreboard watch. And right now, a couple of problem games. Houston continues to lead Jacksonville, and Cincinnati has pulled away from Baltimore.
Yeah, you see all those games. The one that's killing them is the bottom center when the Baltimore and, of course, the Houston score.
Douglas a little shaken up after that punt return. Byron Bell remains on the sideline for Tennessee as well. Tanny throwing, and it's dropped. That's the first incompletion of the day and of the career for Alex Tanny.
Well, it was bound to happen at some point. He can't complete them all. Yeah,
this is going to go right to Canton after this game.
That was right on the money. That was a good pass again. You know, that guy's got to make the play.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing. You throw a good pass like that, and it gets batted to the ground by the guy you threw it to.
David Cobb had some hard running today. They like Cobb from a physical perspective. 5'11", 229 pounds. Started the year on IR. Activated early November. And Mike Mularkey said he hasn't really made the most of his opportunities so far this year in a short amount of time, but had some hard running today, including his first NFL touchdown. He comes out for 3rd and 8. Antonio Andrews, the third down back, next to Tanny. Bobbles the snap. Tanny with pressure. Tanny goes down. Robert Mathis, the first to get there. Kendall Langford also in on the sack.
Well, what can you say about Robert Mathis, one of the great pass rushers in the recent history of the NFL? Just a couple years ago, had 19.5 sacks. Had the Achilles injury last year that kept him out most of the season, but this year coming back with 7 sacks coming into the game. Langford also was in on the play as well, but Mathis with the speed off the edge, showing he's still got a little juice in the tank.
Kern to Bray at the 32. Bray trying to get down the sideline, and he went out of bounds. Bray almost busted one, but he's ruled out at midfield with 8:27 to go in the fourth quarter.
Great job by Bray trying to get down tightrope, and I'll tell you, it's always nice to see if you can get a few extra yards, but you're really vulnerable when you tiptoe down that sideline. Somebody come in and get you.
Remember, if Tennessee loses today, they will pick first in the NFL draft. If Tennessee comes back to win and Cleveland loses, well, then the Browns would pick first. But the lowest Tennessee can select in the draft is number 2. As Josh Freeman is back in after Ryan Lindley had the last series for the Colts. Pitches it to Trey Williams, his second carry, and Williams runs right into Cody Sensabaugh for no gain on the play. This half, the Colts have just 37 yards of offense after they put up 256 in the first half.
And if you're Indy, you're very uneasy with the way this has become now a 3-point ball game. Your offense has been totally stymied. You're grasping at straws now, going back to Josh Freeman. I think you got to get a little bit more aggressive and try and make some plays in the passing game, because Tennessee is selling out to stop the run to keep you in second and third and long.
Go pan right. 180.
Freeman's pass is complete at the 41-yard line. It's Andre Johnson bringing it in, and he's down right at the chains. We'll see where they spot this one.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. They had 9 men in the box to stop the run. You got one-on-one with one of the greatest receivers of all time in Andre Johnson, and on the bottom you got T.Y. Hilton. As we get a quick snap by the Colts right now.
Titans were trying to call timeout, and they do. They give it to them. Yeah, the Colts ran right to the line on 3rd and inches, and Tennessee calls timeout.
Tennessee takes its first timeout.
So clock is stopped, 7:13 to go. Big third down when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Find your agent at statefarm.com. And by Subway and the turkey breast sandwich with no artificial preservatives.
Back in Indianapolis, where the Titans have not won since 2007. 7:13 to go, fourth quarter, 3rd and 1 for the Colts. Freeman keeps it himself up the middle, and with the spot, he's got a first down.
You know, we spoke about this early in the second half, and as the Colts jumped out after the pick 6 return by Freeman, that every first down Josh Freeman can manufacture with this Colt offense gives him one step closer towards pulling this win out. Now, the Titans since then have put together one good drive, but it's all about this Colt offense and their ability to grind this clock down and force the Tennessee Titans to score a touchdown to beat them.
Andrew Luck continues to watch. Sideline for the 7th straight game today, as Gore took it directly up the middle.
I like it. That was the Wildcat. They motioned Josh Freeman out to the left side. A really nice design to this run. You see Freeman goes in motion left. Gore takes a direct snap, and they have a nice little seam up there between the right guard and the right tackle for a good pickup.
Good block by Jack Doyle as well, the Indianapolis native out of Cathedral High School. Gore picks up 5. He's got 63 yards rushing on the day. Inside 6 minutes to go as Doyle goes in motion. It's Gore again. Gore is stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Updating the score down in Houston. Time ticking down on the Colts' chances. 4:13 to go. Texans still up by 2 touchdowns. If Houston goes on to win, the division is theirs.
Chuck Pagano, after 3 11-win seasons to begin his career here in Indianapolis, struggled this year, got off to an incredibly slow start. Offensive coordinator was let go, had to shuffle around. We've seen from a lot of coaching staffs, particularly this Tennessee coaching staff, just trying to get it together and finish with a win here today in week 17.
On 3rd and 4, Freeman throwing right. It's caught by Hilton, wrestled down by Sensabaugh.
Right on the marker.
Right on the marker. But they're moving the sticks. It's another first down for the Colts offense.
You know, that ball was thrown very nicely by Josh Freeman. You were talking about Chuck Pagano. They're going to use the clock now as well. But, you know, uncharacteristically, Andrew Luck was struggling early in the season. The offensive line not protecting him, taking way too many hits. Finally, it caught up with them. Then Matt Hasselbeck comes in, steps in, plays well, but eventually the hits start getting to him. He gets knocked out. Now we're in the current situation. They've been fighting all year, though.
Freeman chased by Arakpo, gets rid of it incomplete in the direction of Philip Dorsett. Well, if the Colts go on to win this game, Pagano's record will be 41-23, which is the 5th best win percentage among active coaches.
Yeah, and there are people that believe he's not coming back. He won't be tomorrow. I mean, they call that day tomorrow Black Monday in the NFL because so many teams decide to make their coaching changes after the last game of the season. And, you know, a lot of people believe it's going to happen. And it's amazing to think about when you put it in perspective of what he's done here in Indianapolis, that may happen to him.
180! Yep.
It's Gore. Frank Gore inside the 25-yard line. Meanwhile, on the other sideline, Mike Mularkey, who's been the interim coach for the last 2 months since replacing Ken Whisenhunt, he's told us that he's made it clear to management he wants to return on a permanent basis next year. He's going to show up for work tomorrow. He said, I'm going to keep coaching the team until I'm told otherwise. He's developed a calendar for the rest of the coaching staff for January, but clearly one of the names out there that's linked to this Tennessee opening is Chip Kelly. He recruited and coached Marcus Mariota at Oregon. They have a great relationship, and now that Chip Kelly's been let go, his name's certainly in the mix down in Tennessee.
Oh, the intrigue.
And a whistle before the snap and a timeout called by the Colts.
Indianapolis takes its first timeout of the half. This is a 30-second timeout.
There will be so much speculation about what happens with Chip Kelly and the Tennessee Titans. And not only that, but there's a half a dozen other jobs in the NFL, and every team will want to take a look at Chip Kelly and what he's done. He came in and he himself won 10 games in Philadelphia 2 years in a row to begin his career. So there's some names out there, and there's going to be some shuffling at the head coaching spot around the NFL as there is every year.
And if they do bring in a guy like a Chip Kelly, the question then becomes, as you see Marcus Mariota there, the question becomes, is Chip Kelly going to insist on control? Because general manager Rustin Webster for the Tennessee Titans also has a contract that's up, and you got to figure out all those different dynamics. What might appear to be a great fit on the outside might not be as good a fit on the inside.
Following the timeout, 3rd and 3, Freeman on the draw. Josh Freeman with another first down, and that clock continues to tick. 3:22 and counting, although now we're stopped because a timeout has been called.
Yeah, Tennessee's got to start using their timeouts, hoping to get this football back. You know, now it becomes, can they just force Indianapolis to settle for a field goal?
So one timeout left for the Titans as we check the scoreboard, and now Houston has tacked on another field goal. They lead it 23-6, just 3:24 remaining down in Texas.
This also disqualifies Indianapolis as well.
And keep this in mind that Cleveland is losing, and that doesn't affect the Colts right now because of Houston, but it does affect the #1 pick. So if the Titans were to come back and win this game and Cleveland loses, then the Browns would pick first in the draft.
Now, it's right. And in the playoff hunt, if Pittsburgh wins and Buffalo wins and the Jets lose, the Pittsburgh Steelers sneak into the playoffs.
If the Jets lose that game to Buffalo, Pittsburgh in control. That's right. Pittsburgh becomes a 6th seed.
A dangerous 6th seed in the AFC playoffs. 1st and 10. And Gore to the 15. And Mike Mularkey has not called his final timeout. The clock will continue to go as we look at the AFC playoff picture. Houston trying to put a wraps on that #4 seed and wrap up the AFC South. Kansas City's already in. It's the Jets in Pittsburgh for that final wild card spot. Jets have to pull out the win if Pittsburgh holds on in Cleveland.
Yeah, and those are the only 8 teams that have a shot at it. And then, of course, 5 of those 8 teams are already clinched, but those last 3 teams vying for that last spot.
Colts have missed the playoffs just 3 times since 1995. And it's about to be the 4th time with 2.5 to go here.
It's different over in the NFC.
And wait a minute now.
There's a penalty on the field.
There's a flag down. As you see the NFC playoff picture.
All 6 of those teams are in no matter what. Only the seeding remains to be determined. Who's the 1 through the 6th ranked team in the NFC? They're all in.
And this game right here is the big one. Tonight in Lambeau, the Vikings against the Packers. The winner of that wins the North in the NFC. I mean, what an unbelievable...
If there's a quarterback, they'll run a quarterback
After the
draw in
play,
Lambeau
delay
like
game,
he did.
offense number 23 for spiking the ball. It's a 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. The down counts, brings up 3rd down.
It's a bad play by the veteran Frank Gore.
Really bad.
Yeah,
Frustration, you know, I think he's probably in his mind, understanding the overall situation. He wants to get to that 1,000 yards for personal reasons. Maybe a little bit frustrated with how it's gone here the latter part of this game, not trying to have more of a focus of getting at those yards.
I don't know about that. I think it's just I think he was frustrated that he didn't break a tackle and get in the end zone. I think he thought he had a chance. I don't think he was angry that he's not getting personal yards. I don't think he's that kind of guy, but yeah, that's a mistake.
Well, what it does is Tennessee doesn't have to call timeout, and it stops the clock for them with 3rd down and 10. Freeman taking a shot in the end zone for Andre Johnson, overthrows him out of bounds. And now it's 4th down, and here comes Adam Vinatieri. So because of that penalty against Frank Gore, Tennessee gets to save its timeout.
And they throw another pass on 3rd down, which saves them another timeout again.
So Adam Vinatieri, who's already 2 for 2 today, and has now made 24 consecutive field goals. His last miss was week 4 against Jacksonville. This is from 35 yards out. Kick is good by Vinatieri. He's 3 for 3. It's a 6-point lead for the Colts with 2:25 to go. However, the Colts have now been officially eliminated from playoff contention. They had to have the Falcons beat the Saints, but New Orleans goes into Atlanta, gets the win. So the Colts are done. It was a 3,000-to-1 shot at the beginning of the day. They needed 9 games to go their way. And the first final of the day sends the Colts into the offseason and potentially Chuck Pagano into free agency as a coach. But no doubt about it, Colts want to try to avoid finishing with a losing record this year. Since 1999, just 2 losing seasons. If they win today, they'll finish at 8-8. Meanwhile, the Titans have lost 8 straight games to the Colts. Nothing they would like more, at least for a lot of them, and to end that streak. However, there are some fans that hope the Colts actually lose this game and don't come back right now so they get the #1 pick.
The Titans.
The Titans.
Excuse me.
Here's the playoff picture with the Y next to Houston. They've officially clinched the AFC South. Jets are still losing in Buffalo while the Steelers continue to lead the Browns. Well, what do you do if you're a Titans fan? You want Alex Tannen to go down the field, win the game? Or do you want to pick first in the draft?
I know what Alex Tannen wants, and I know what Mike Mularkey wants. You know, they want to finish this thing out right, and every player in that field wants to come off the field with a win.
Some conflicted Tennessee fans right now as Tanny starts this drive from the 20. And he dumps it down to Andrews, who loses 3 on the play. Nice tackle by Darius Butler.
Well, I think if you know this, Steve, the players are going to try and win. They don't care about playoff scenarios or anything like that. This is a game where these guys they grow up to be competitors, and they're going to continue to be that way.
Tanny's pass incomplete. Looking in the direction of Green Beckham. That takes us to the 2-minute warning. The Titans trail by 6. Either Tennessee or Cleveland will pick first in the NFL draft. Cleveland is losing to Pittsburgh right now, late fourth quarter. So if the Titans come back and win this game, Cleveland would pick first. If the Titans lose, they get the number 1 pick. There's the score in Cleveland with 2:06 to go. Right now, Alex Tanney and the Titans face with 3rd and 13. Tanney looking for Delaney Walker. He's got it at the 45-yard line. What a throw by Alex Tanney, a gain of 29.
Well, you know, that's a classic example. Mike Mularkey, great decision by he and his offensive coordinator, Jason Michael, to say, let's get our best player involved in this play. Let's see if he can make a play. An excellent example of how to just let players go out and make plays.
The 9th catch today by Delaney Walker.
When your quarterbacks are suspect, lean on the star players. Frank Gore, Delaney Walker, T.Y. Hilton, all the great players that are other than quarterbacks on the field are the ones who are winning this game.
1 timeout, 1:49 to go for Tennessee. Connects with Douglas at midfield. Douglas gets 4 yards. Out of bounds with 1:44 to go. Jaleel Brown forces him out.
Well, you can't say enough about Tanney. I mean, that 3rd and 13, backed up in his own end, less than 2 minutes to play. You got to make a throw to keep your team in the game. He's stepped up several times throughout the course of the game today, really making a very, very good first impression on the Tennessee Titans organization.
Colts have been eliminated from playoff contention. Still trying to finish with an 8-8 record in what could be Chuck Pagano's final game. Tanney back to Delaney Walker. And he's got it inbound, so the clock continues to tick. That ties a career high for Walker, his 10th catch today. Good for a first down with 1:25 to go. And whistles blowing. They blow this one dead.
Prior to the snap, we were called to replay the previous play. We will review it now.
Called from upstairs. They didn't know if Delaney Walker actually had possession of this ball. Now, if he catches it and goes down, he's got to finish the process. But if he touches out of bounds before he has control, that ball's out of bounds. If he's bobbling it when his helmet hits the white line, that's an incomplete pass. And it looks like he might be. They might call that an incomplete pass.
No coaches' challenges in the final 2 minutes of the half. Everything initiated from the replay booth upstairs. They call down. They want to take another look at this one.
Yep, our Steve Tasker was all over that one, called it perfectly. I don't see how they can rule that a catch.
Well, I'm 0 for 295 on calling these replays this year.
Not true.
The ball was bobbled. He was on the white line, and that's an incomplete pass. I mean, we've seen all the videos. We've talked, you know, the officiating videos they send to all the announcers and make viewable to the public and the media. That, to me, is an incomplete pass. Great effort.
Sure was.
I mean, that you can't say enough about Delaney Walker in the game he has had today. You know, you feel for him. He had more catches than any tight end in the league, made as big a difference as any tight end in the league for his team, got snubbed for the Pro Bowl. He knew it. He said, listen, I'm not going to go. We're not having a great year. We didn't have very many primetime games. A lot of people around the country didn't get to see me play. So no matter how well I did, I'm just not popular enough for fans to vote for me. And I get that, and it's quite a sense of self-awareness that he knew that going into the voting process. Doesn't make it any easier to watch the Pro Bowl without you in it.
Here comes Clete Blakeman. And he's got the call.
After review of the play, the receiver was bobbling the ball, and when he was going out of bounds, therefore by rule, it is an incomplete pass. Bring up 3rd down from the the 49-yard line. Please put 1 minute 41 seconds on the game clock, 1:41.
Yeah, and that's as big a part of the review process as anything, giving them the time back on the clock. It went from 1:18 back to 1:41 because they had him inbounds of the clock wound. It's a smart play by the offense. So really one of the best parts about replay is getting the clock right in these situations when you're running out of time.
The clock starts on the referee's whistle.
Third down and 7. Pressure coming. Tenney can't get away from Freeman. It's been a huge day for Jarrell Freeman. The pick 6 and now the big sack as Tennessee has called its final timeout.
At least his second sack. You see number 50 moving out there. Tanney gets flushed because of the pressure up inside by T.Y. McGill. Right into Freeman's hands.
A 19-yard loss. Second sack today for Freeman. He now has 3 on the year.
And that now puts Tennessee into almost a mini Hail Mary situation. Do you throw the ball underneath and hope a guy can run and get the first down? Or do you put it up for your big receiver, Dorial Green-Beckham, or the tight end, Delaney Walker, and try and get the ball in the air to the first down?
Fourth and 21. No timeouts left for Tennessee.
Well, the Colts are going to let him complete a short pass and then try and make the tackle.
They're coming with heat. Tanney in trouble. Steps up, fires, incomplete. Toller on the coverage of Walker. And ladies and gentlemen, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, for the Titans, and tried to get it into Delaney Walker, climbs the pocket pretty well, gets pretty good protection after doing it, but it's just a throw that, I mean, everybody in the stadium or in the defensive backfield knew who they were going to try and get that ball to.
I got to give a lot of credit to Alex Tanney. His
Without a
first
doubt.
NFL game, 10 out of 14, 99 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, Chuck Pagano's team can just take a knee as Tennessee has no timeouts remaining.
And who would have thought that Josh Freeman would be in the kneel-down formation for Indianapolis?
You got to give Chuck Pagano and his staff. We talked to Chuck on Friday, and he told us what an incredible job his staff had done preparing this team, and specifically the quarterbacks. But you know, what a satisfying way to finish the year for them after all they've been through, to come away with these conditions with a win.
Well, and unfortunately for the Titans, you got beat by 2 quarterbacks that were on the street a week ago, and you gave up, well, it was 23 points to an offense run by guys who were on the street 6 days ago, and that's you know, you deserve to have the first pick of the draft.
Do want to thank some of our crew for a wonderful season. Producer Vic Frank, director Jim Cornell, AD Brian Jagoda, our stats Mike Notaro, our spotter John Lou McCarthy. So many great people helped us throughout the year. We sincerely appreciate it. Chuck Pagano runs off the field for what could be the final time as Colts head coach. He finishes 8-8. And Mike Mularkey's future in doubt as well on the Tennessee sideline. But one thing is for sure is that the Titans will have the first pick in the 2016 NFL Draft. Tip of the cap to Alex Tanney, who did a great job today in relief of Zach Mettenberger. Josh Freeman and Ryan Lindley also did well for them as well. And as we update the AFC playoff picture, the Pittsburgh Steelers get into the playoffs because the Jets lost in Buffalo and Pittsburgh won in Cleveland. So the Steelers steal the final playoff spot in the AFC.
Well, not to imply that the Jets were going to be an easy out, but nobody wants to play the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Ben Roethlisberger this time of year always as dangerous as anybody in the league.
Nice ovation from the fans here at Lucas Oil Stadium. Been a bumpy year for the Colts. Chuck Pagano maybe saying goodbye for the final time. Colts win 30-24. Stay tuned for Game 2 of our doubleheader, the Chargers at the Broncos or the Rams at the 49ers. For Steve Tasker, Steve Berline, this is Andrew Catalan saying so long from Indianapolis. We'll take you to New York for all the latest scores and highlights right after this.